Inravio.com.
Hello again, everybody. This is Joe Larson. You're watching the 505 on Racing Show live from New York. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, a lot going on. Just to give you a little overview of what we're doing. In the Where Are You Now, we got Cale Yarborough, three-time Monster Energy NASCAR Cup champion. Bobby Santos, who's the 2010 NASCAR Whelen Modified champion. We also have live in the studio coming on at 7:15 will be Artie Peterson III. We're going to talk about John Force's incident that he had in Arizona at the Arizona Nationals in the NHRA. And we're going to talk about Atlanta, the Cup, the Xfinity, the Truck Series, the crowd, the weather, how NASCAR dealt with it, and things of that nature as well. Also an update on Mike Titeback, who was injured in the indoor races in Atlantic City back on January 29th. An official statement was released, but we'll get to that later on. And then we'll talk about what's going on in racing. But let's get right into Cale Yarborough. Cale Yarborough. Cale Yarborough, three-time Monster Energy NASCAR Cup champion, 1976, 77, and 78. I graduated high school in 1976. Wow, it seems like such a long time ago. He was born in 1939 in Timmonsville, South Carolina, the son of a tobacco farmer. He played high school football as a running back, and he also, which not too many people knew this, he played semi-pro football in South Carolina and was actually a Golden Gloves champion boxer. So we're going to talk about that a little later when we talk about his escapades in 1979. His first attempt to run the Southern 500 in Darlington, Cale was a young teenager, and he lied about his age. He said he was old enough. NASCAR caught him, DQ'd him, and escorted him off the property, telling him to come back when he was old enough. His first NASCAR race was the Southern 500, driving car number 30 for Bob Weatherly, finishing a dismal 42nd. However, that didn't dismay him. He still tried to go racing, and in 1959, he hooked up with Bob Weatherly again in the Southern 500, finishing 27th. In 1969, one race, 14th at the Southern State Fairgrounds in South Carolina. In 1963, he started the season without a ride, which happened sometimes, and back in those days, that was the norm. There was so many drivers and so many cars. He started the season without a ride and ended up driving for Herman Beam with two top fives, part-time. He left Beam in 61 to finish the season with Holman Moody, the legendary Holman Moody. And then he drove for different teams, winning his first race at Valdosta Speedway in Georgia. In 66, he moved to Banjo Matthews, and that ended in 67 at the end. And he ended up driving the 21 car for the Wood Brothers. In 1966, he competed in the Indy 500. And I think there was a picture of that car that he competed in that was up before, and finished way in the back of the pack, but he was one of those guys that did that double duty. He had two wins for the Wood Brothers in 1967, but only 20th in the points. He won the Daytona 500 and the Firecracker 400 in 1967, only the second driver to win both Daytona events in the same season. He raced limited schedules in the late 60s into the early 70s, and ended up with the Wood brothers in late 1970 after Ford pulled out of the factory support. Because back in the late 60s, the factories took care of the teams and the cars, and factory support was dwindling. In 1974, he had 10 wins and lost the championship by 600 points. No major sponsor in 75. He missed 3 races and ended up with Holly Farms as a sponsor, and they had 3 wins and 9th in the points after missing 3 races. In 1976, Yarborough had 9 wins with 4 in a row and his first championship. In 77, again, 9 wins, never finishing out of the top 5 during the last 11 races, and he had his second championship. In 1978, he had 10 wins with a new sponsor, and he got his 3rd consecutive championship. 1979, new season. Busch Beer comes on board. The legendary fight during the Daytona 500, the first flag-to-flag coverage on national TV. The fight had to do with Donnie Allison and Bobby Allison, and as the leaders were crossing the finish line, the cameramen were focused on the fight. NASCAR was embarrassed. They're going to find the Allisons. They're going to find Cale Yarborough. And all of a sudden, racing on TV took off. CBS said their ratings were never higher for a live event, and they did not find them, at least not publicly. In 1980, 14 poles, 6 wins. He lost the championship by 19 points, driving for Junior Johnson. Darrell Waltrip then ended up replacing Cale Yarborough in the Junior Johnson car when it became the 88, sponsored by Gatorade. 1981, he ran part-time, only 16 races, and there's a picture from part of the fight there. He ran 16 races, winning 3. But he also ran in 1981 the 24 Hours of Le Mans, finishing way back. 1986, his final race in Firecracker 400 was at Daytona. He then became a driver-owner after purchasing Joe Bieber's Race Hill Farms car and team. 1988, Cale Yarborough was done racing. He ended up as an owner, trying to make it happen, wasn't happening. 2000, he closed the shop, walked away from racing. In 31 years of Cup competition, Cale Yarborough raced 560 races with 83 victories. He ran in USAC, 13 races with no wins. He's in the International Motorsports Hall of Fame in 1993, the National Motorsports Press Association Hall of Fame in 1994, the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America in 1994, NASCAR's 50 Greatest Drivers in 1998, NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2011 after 2 years of missing the cut after being nominated. South Carolina Highway 403 in Timmonsville, South Carolina is named Cale Yarborough Highway. Cale Yarborough is one of those tough guys. When I say a tough guy, as you saw, they were fighting at that level. And the fans loved it. It was good for TV rating. But he was one of those guys. He was that old breed. You don't see that kind of racer anymore. I mean, people fight, they argue, they push and shove. And NASCAR then make a big donation. And you know what? Let the boys have at it. Let them have at it. Because it's good for ratings, it's good for racing. And you know what? We talked about passion in this sport. That man, I don't know anybody that was more passionate about what he did in racing, except for Cale Yarborough. So I wish him well in his retirement. He owns some farms, he's making it happen, enjoying the twilight years of his life, looking back on his race career, looking back on all the fun he had, the people he met, and there he is, home in South Carolina, I should say, farming the way he came into this world, the son of a tobacco farmer. Our next person, wherever now, will be Bobby Santos III. Bobby Santos, he's driven just about everything that has wheels on it. Bobby Santos, he was born in 1985. He was the 2010 NASCAR Wheel and Modified champion, hailing out of Franklin, Massachusetts. He was successful in midgets, driving in the midgets in the Northeastern Midget Association. He drove in USAC. He drove in PRA. He drove big cars. He drove IMSA. Most wins of any driver in USAC National Midget in 2006. Also in 2006, he participated in ARCA at the Iowa Speedway, driving for Bill Davis. He started 10th, finished 6th. In 2007, he returned to Bill Davis. And also, he moved back to NASCAR, driving in what was called the Busch Series back then, with a start at Richmond International Raceway. Bobby Santos also participated in the Wheel and Modified Series with 2 wins at Thompson in 2007, his first year in the open wheel modifieds. Santos races currently on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, still races in USAC, driving in 3 different divisions in that series. And he also races NEMA Midgets, which he started in 2009. He ran the Xfinity Series. He had 6 events in 4 seasons. Camper World Truck Series. He had 1 race in 2011. NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour, 15 seasons on and off with 133 races, 16 wins, and again, the 2010 champion. He raced in ARCA for 2 seasons and for 8 races over 2 seasons. And he's one of those guys, and I've met him, I've spoken with him. He's one of those guys, he just wants to go racing. He eats, drinks, breathes racing. It's in his blood. It's in his family. That's what they do. And that's one of the things we talked about last week with the passion that we have for our sport and what we do it, how we do it, why we do it, and the things we sacrifice to go racing. I was at the Thompson Motorsports Park for the World Series in October of this past year, and we had gone into the services, the Sunday services, and it was nice to see Bobby Santos, his wife, and his little baby in the services, and the baby making a lot of noise and having a good time and enjoy it. But that's what it was all about. It's all about the family. And I'll tell you what, anybody who's going to be successful in racing and anybody who is going to have an enjoyable racing career, they need to depend on their family, because that's what pushes you when you need to push. That's who grabs you when you need that. I'm going to say you need that little hug when you're getting like a little down on yourself. And when we come back after these commercials, the guy that's going to be sitting next to me, I'll bet you he's going to talk about how his family has kept him in racing and helped him out all through the years. We will have Artie Peterson III live in the studio when we come back. Come on over. Grab that chair.
Hey, what's oh, I was going to say what's up for some reason. Hey, we're Set It Up, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE, your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop, 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi there, this is Buddy from Less Than Jake, and you are listening to Inravio TV. You're probably watching it too.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. As you see, we got some live guests here. To my right, we have Artie Peterson III, the INEX 2017 Asphalt Legends New York State Pro Champion. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And to Artie's right is his dad, Artie Peterson Jr. Welcome.
Hey, guys.
So, state championship. That's no easy task in the INEX. Tell us, how did you pull this off?
Well, you know, it was a tough start to the season as it was. We really weren't sure what the plan was going to be.
Uh-huh.
And about a couple weeks before anything got going, we said, you know, let's go for the state championship. It's something we feel we can do. We want to travel this year. And it was tough for us with everything going on. And, you know, I ended up funding a lot of it throughout the summer. And we just kept racing every week. It kept us going. And next thing we know, we're sitting in August leading the points. And we just kept running every week, running strong, working hard, and ended up being the state championship.
Now, and that's no easy task. And what tracks it on? Because I know you guys were up in Bethel. I was up there one time. We were up there, and that's not like around the corner. Where are some of the places that you went to?
We started off pretty much at Wall Stadium in Jersey. Then we did merge to Bethel a little bit. We tried going all over, but it was Bethel Motor Speedway. We also went 6.5 hours up to Evans Mills Speedway. It was a nice 3/8 mile track.
Yeah, the next exit Canada.
Right.
Yeah.
You can see the sign that says Canada to the next right. Half hour. And also Riverhead, but towards the end of the year we kept coming back, and we ended up at Riverhead at the end of the season to win the championship.
Now I know you take this very seriously, and you're very intense when you go racing. Here it is, like you said, August, and you're atop the points. What went through your head?
Well, you try not to points race all year. It wasn't the plan. I mean, we had a plan to win it, but you try not to look at the points, and now you're sitting there, you know you're at the top. You start looking at all the guys in the pro list for our state, and I mean, if anybody that knows how the points work for the state, you look at some of those guys, and it's guys I've raced with for years, and it's extremely tough competition, and you're saying, how am I going to stay on top? You know, and you just got to keep running hard and finishing good.
Now, considering you're a college student, you're studying for an engineering degree, you commute a good hour at least to go to school, like every day, and you also work part-time. I mean, dad and mom ain't just forking over cash to you. How do you balance that? Because from what I've seen, you make the dean's list, you get good grades, you're going to work every day, you know, you're scheduled and showing up. How do you balance all of that and still have time to be in the shop, getting the car ready, getting loaded up, and traveling 6, 7, 8 hours one way? How do you balance that?
Well, first you got to make sure homework's done, obviously, for school, and then, you know, working part-time with Fortins on John's tree removal. I mean, I can't do it without them either. They race, they know how it is.
Yep.
And you know, I work hard with him. He makes me work hard every day. And I just come home and it's a lot of long nights. It's a lot of dedication from my guys, from Ron, John Heeg, and Alan and Chris. And they, you know, you can't give up.
Right.
And it's tough. You're out there till 11, midnight sometimes, and you just got to get it done because it's what we do.
Now, I know your dad a long time, you know, in racing, and your dad's raced just about everything there is to run here on Long Island, and you know, Dad's a little banged up. He's having trouble getting around with his back and whatnot. Dad, as a dad, you want to get your hands in there. How hard is it to sit back and say, boys, just go do it?
Well, the good thing about that is I fully trust what they do. I'm there with them at least, at least I can do that, thank God. But they've been doing this since 7 and 8 years old, 6, 7 years old. Mm-hmm. And actually working on stuff since, 10, 11.
Since yeah.
Swinging wrenches,
Yep.
And I mean, he took over the setup part of it and all of that years ago anyway, so the transition wasn't as hard, But you want to get in there, you want to help. I just can't do it. I can't lift anything. I can't even stand, sit for a long time.
Right,
So I do what I have to do. But I'm just so proud of them all because we worked together for such a long time, and they're very good students, and the schooling I'm proud of. That's the big. I mean, this kid's going to be 21, have a double engineering degree. It wasn't just one, he doubled up.
I know.
And he's almost done. He's got 4 classes, I think, next fall, and he's done.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
And
good accomplishment.
in the social media, you put a post up there, and I'll tell you what, it gave me goosebumps because I could sense from just what you said, and you're not a Pulitzer Prize writer, but it came from your heart how proud you are, not only of art, but Alan as well.
Oh, yeah.
Who's also going to school and race part-time. I mean, as a dad, I know, when my kids raced and was in go-karts and a little bit of Riverhead, just seeing him do well, it was like, wow. But your son's a state champion.
So is Alan, by the way.
Yeah.
He won the semi-pro championship in 2015, so we have 2 now.
2?
I mean, that's pretty good. It's just dedication. I mean, like Artie said, he's out in the shower. I'll wake up because, my sleeping habits are a little off with this and all that. But I'll wake up, where's Artie? Out in the shop. I mean, it's just the dedication of the crew, though. Ron's been with us since the kids are 6 and 7 years old. John Heeg came aboard about 2010, 9 and 10.
2010.
He does stuff behind the scenes, and just helps us out. And, everyone just chips in and does the thing. We just work good together. You got to mention Jerry too. I mean, Jerry's like, we helped him. We worked on his car,
right.
And got him set up for Riverhead all year. He ran Riverhead. He pretty much concentrated Riverhead. He came a couple races away with us, but he finished 5th in points at Riverhead. That's no
easy task.
No, I'm
no
proud
easy
of that.
task.
He's proud of that, and he deserves it. He's come a long way.
Mm-hmm. And I was talking earlier about the family aspect, and it is obvious to me that your family is on board for this, and on board to do whatever it takes to fulfill the dream, whether it's the national championship next, moving into the next level of racing, whatever that may be. And knowing that you have that support, how does that make you feel, not only on the good days, but on the not so good days?
Well, it's like you said, it's really a dream that nobody sees but us, and I can't thank Dad and my mom enough. They, like you said, they give up everything so we can do this. And even on the bad days when we come back from a wreck or something, just having everyone around us supporting us and saying, all right, what do we got to do to get this back together? We got to race next week.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
And I remember one of the times at Bethel, you and your brother Al were racing, and you were a little bit up in the points, and your car was just not there. And I don't remember what was wrong, but your brother gave up his car.
It was
the
actually the other way
opposite.
around.
Oh, it was the other way around.
That's how Alan won the
that's how he won
championship.
it.
It was the
Yes.
opposite.
Yes.
Alan's motor, we started hearing a noise. So with technology today, thank God, you can, we were in contact with the motor builder down south, and he said, don't run it. Now, Alan was going for the championship at this point, and there was only there was only 2 races left that weekend.
Yep.
And Artie stepped out of his car and said, Alan, you got a shot, take my car.
Yeah, I was there that day. I walked away and said, I don't know if I would have did that for my brother.
Now, Artie, you need to explain that Alan wasn't happy.
Well,
Like, this is
he
great.
jumps into it and goes out. I think we made the last practice before the heat races. He goes out, he comes in, he's all flustered. He's like, I don't know how you drive this thing. I can't do this. And, you know, I mean, every car handles different, obviously. You know, it doesn't matter how close you build them in. Him and me are completely different drivers. And so he's arguing with me the whole time. He's like, I'm not going to be able to do this. We're not going to win it. I'm like, Alan, he went out for the heat race, didn't do that great either. Ended up getting a pick in the back, and I'm like, it was still in the daytime, so I'm like, I'm going to make a change for the night. I said, all I want you to do, I just told him, I said, shut up and drive, and don't worry about it. And he started towards the back and drove all the way to the front and ended up getting his first win, actually, in my car. We have the picture and everything. It's my car, and it's Alan in the front with a little piece of tape over the name that says Alan instead of Artie on it.
Man. And I guess I don't know if I could have did that, but I wasn't in that position. You never know when that stuff happens to you. And you know, looking forward now, you've run other things, not just in the INX. What are some of the other cars and types of cars you've raced over the years? I know go-karts and
well, we started in go-karts, but short track career-wise, it's obviously been the Legends the last few years, and I've also jumped in family late model a little bit.
Right.
And that was really our learning toy for, you know, and it helped a lot because it's a big car, it's a big motor, and it maybe doesn't handle as well as we'd like it to, being a little older, but it helped me learn a lot, helped me get used to a big car, and I ran tour type modified. I remember had a couple times with Fortins and with Vogel. I was lucky enough to get those opportunities, and I also ran a full season in Vecchio's figure 8 car with my Uncle Scott that one year. We actually did really well. So I've been in just about everything. I know Bob Finan calls me Mr. Versatile sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was also in an SK car this year up at Bethel too.
So now you've gone from not a lot of horsepower in a car to 600 horsepower in a car. Open wheels, full fenders. How does that change your driving style?
Well, the Legends really are like open wheels. It does show a lot of cosmetic stuff around it, but it's really open wheel racing just on a small scale. And you know, you have to get used to it, but I knew I could do it inside, and I was lucky enough to get those opportunities to go out and show people that I can do it.
Yep.
And you know, you have to just have no fear really and just go after it. You got to attack the corner, and I mean, I got in one, and I remember the first time with Fortin back in the day. It was like, I think 2015, and first time I hit the track, I think I went a little easy in the turn 1, and I punched it, and I'm like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I ended up running right with the times almost the first day.
He gave you the opportunity to take his modified out in practice. And I had already driven Chris Young's modified. And I know John, gosh, it's got to be 30 years. And he let me take his car in practice. So I guess the crew thought I was going to putt around. So they got the oldest tires they could find to put on. And I'm out there, and I'm going, and it felt like an automatic transmission that was slipping coming off the corners. So I know that's not the case because he had, you know, a good training. So I pull up and I said, John, I don't know how you do this. This car had no forward bite at all. And one of his crew guys goes, oh, we put the old tires. We just thought you were going to putt around. Because you hit the gas. You just go.
Yeah.
Well,
you just go.
You can spin the tires very easily.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Forward bite, like you said, all the handling is the big thing with those.
Yeah, and you can't just
You have
mash
too
the
much
gas
power,
pedal.
right.
No.
Legends too, believe it or not. The Legends, the power to weight ratio was kind of crazy.
I
People
drove a
don't really-
Legend,
yeah,
and I drove
crazy.
Jim Pape's Legend car years ago, and Jimmy Pape was young, and he was used to his go-kart, and there was and nothing against Jimmy, he did a nice job, but he wasn't giving any feedback. Now I don't know any better, so I hop in this thing, and I'm going down the straightaway doing this. I'm like, this isn't right, something's wrong. So I do the 10 laps or whatever it was. I come in and I say to his father, James, I said, something's not right. I gotta turn right to go straight. And all the guys helping him, nah, you never drove a Legend car, it's different. Well, they got to call him, the rear was cocked.
Wasn't square in the car.
No, it wasn't square.
That's a key with those.
You know, if it was gone the other way, okay, you know, maybe I'll help you in the corners, but, you know.
You want them square, pretty much.
Pretty much, like a figure eight car, you want a square?
Yeah, pretty much. But the power to weight ratio is what we were saying there.
Yeah, there's a lot of torque in those things.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It really
It's
is.
a lot of throttle control. It's really the best division for the young guys to get into now. It just teaches you so much.
And it does, and you know, it's funny. It's almost like, and from what I can say, and I've driven a few things, it's like a champ car on steroids.
Yeah,
Like
say
heavy
it's
steroids.
Like a chainsaw on acid.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man.
But the thing you were saying before about, you say to him, and Audie said no fear or whatever, you know, people have to start measuring the seat, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference, you know.
Oh, a big difference.
You
Big difference.
Measure the seat, and that'll tell you if the driver has it or not.
Yep. Anyway, we're gonna take a break, and we come back. We'll continue our discussion with Artie and his dad in regards to racing, and we're also gonna do a little talk about John Force and what happened to him this past weekend in the NHRA Arizona Nationals. When we come back.
Hi, I'm Remington.
I'm Emerson.
And I'm Sebastian.
We're Palais Royale, and you're watching Inravio TV.
There we go.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, Inravio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is Inravio.com.
Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if Inravio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Village Music Shop of Mastic. 1-800-HEY-DUDE. Your full-service store with personalized attention, school band instrument rentals and sales, music instruction on all instruments for all styles and age groups, for guitars, drums, amplifiers, PA systems, and accessories. It's Village Music Shop. 1495 Montauk Highway in Mastic. Call 1-800-HEY-DUDE or go to villagemusicshop.com.
Hi, this is Mike Jarecki from My Race News, and you're watching the Inravio TV network.
Welcome back. John Force, multi-time NHRA champion, funny cars. His daughter also races funny cars, has been involved in some wrecks herself. But when I saw this wreck, and that's John Force with his funny car. Now, look at this guy climbing into, he's 68 years old, and that's the wreck. The engine blew up. He is sitting right behind you see the breathers there. He is sitting right there. This thing literally blew up in his face. Not only did it blow up, he then made a sharp right, not him, he lost all steering, everything blew up. The body, as you can see, blew off the car. He not only hit the wall, the far right wall, he also hit the person he was racing against. And this happened at the Arizona Nationals this past weekend. And the engine just exploded. And then after he hit the wall, he hit Johnny Lindbergh's car as well. Their parachutes tangled, and they just hit everything all the way down to the shutdown area. John Force was taken to the local area hospitals. He was then moved to another hospital, and this tough old guy was released Sunday night, fine. Now, I'm sure he's sore. I'm sure he's going to be hurting. But if you look at that race car, there's nothing left. That thing exploded just before he hit the finish line. Now, these guys are going a good, 210, 215, if not more.
In a short time.
Yeah.
They're up to that speed, probably 8th mile, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You know,
And now think about this. I mean, here you are, you're cruising along at 200, 240, whatever it is, and all of a sudden, everything in front of you blows up. blows up. The force of the explosion is going to throw your hands off the stairwell, which is what made it shoot to the right. Like I said, he's a tough old guy, John Force, 68 years old. I hope at 68 I look as good as he does, and I can still like drive a car the way he does.
Talk about a competitor, though, like you said before, Cale Yarborough.
Yeah, he's not just the guy that goes and puts on a show. He's out there to win,
yeah.
and he wins, and he does his thing. So here we are here at the 505 on Racing Show and the Inravio TV network. We wish him well. I'm sure he's hurting. I'm sure. I mean,
He's got to be sore. He's got to be sore.
Yeah, I mean, we've all crashed. And you know, that night, at least from my experience, it doesn't really hurt that night. It's
No.
the next day.
The next day, yep.
When you kind of get out of bed, go in the shower, and everything's hurting. And man, I mean, you've had some, you know, wicked, and I know, you know, Dad's had some nice bangs too.
My throttle stuck 2 years ago, and just like you said, didn't really hurt that. I mean, thank God for all the safety equipment. And,
Yep.
you know, but it didn't hurt really right afterwards. I went in the ambulance, got checked out a little, and I ended up throwing the car back together, seeing what we had to do. And I wake up the next morning, I'm like, yep,
Yeah.
this is gonna hurt.
Yeah, I had one where I actually went up in the air a little bit, not a lot, but I knew when it came down, it was gonna hurt. And the initial, oh, that hurt. But you know, they check you out in the ambulance. Okay, you're good. Okay, you know, squeeze my fingers, follow my finger, and got in the truck. They loaded up the car. Got in the truck to go home. And I lived in Babylon, so it was like you know, almost an hour ride. I couldn't get out of the truck. It was so uncomfortable. And my chiropractor at that time was also a sponsor. We called him, and at 1 a.m. he came to my house and to work on me. And then I just went to the office in the morning. And ice packs, heat, and it hurts for like and just when you're feeling better, you got to get in the car again.
Right.
Thank God I never had no major ones, you know, little stuff here and there. But Artie, when he hit in that Legend car, that had to be one of the hardest hits I ever saw in a Legend car. I was scared. You know, my brother Scott was there. And
Yep.
we ran. I was nervous, but like he was sore for a while. But he was. Thank God for the safety equipment. And that's what we spend the money on. You spend the money on the safety equipment.
Only my daughter Jessica tore some stuff up, you know, racing at Riverhead, but she never like totaled a car or got injured. But my daughter Erin in a Champ cart.
Yeah. I remember that.
She had to be airlifted. The bones were sticking out of the bottom of her foot, and I didn't know what to do. I just stood there.
You feel helpless.
You're like, you know, and the EMTs said, "Get out of the way, get out."
Yeah.
And finally, the guy said, "Hold this." I'm sitting there holding something, you know, just to keep busy, so to speak. But yeah, what goes through your head?
I ran with the ambulance back in the day for about 5 years, and have a little bit of experience and knowledge.
Yep.
But that makes it worse sometimes because you know you want to help, but you got to let them do their job. That's what they're there for. So,
oh yeah, that's
that's probably they're in the best hands with those people.
And you made a good point with the safety equipment that's in race cars, not only in NHRA, NASCAR, dirt, you name it. The safety equipment that's out there today is, you know, some people complain about the cost of it, but if it saves your life or saves you from serious injury, you can't put a price on that.
Right. I mean, I take that hit and I'm back in the car next week. You know?
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
And the way the cars are built today, you know, the specs that you got to follow, especially with INEX, you know, you basically buy the car from them. You know, whether you buy the complete thing from them or you buy a piece, but you know, everything there has been checked out, tested, engineers and.
There's a reason why it's built that way.
Exactly, and I know with the modifieds on the tour when I was there, we had a person that we'd go around and a couple of us helped them. We measured all kinds of angles on this car and wrote them down. I mean, I'm talking a big sheet. The steering wheel distance, the seat, the pedals.
Look at the rules books.
Yeah, and anytime there's an accident or a wreck, we go remeasure that to see what moved. And it goes back to the engineers and, okay, maybe we'll put a bar here or a pipe there or loosen this up a little bit so there's some flex. Because years ago, back in the Richie Evans days, Charlie Jazambek, you know, let them rest in peace, but those cars were so stiff that when they hit, the body absorbed everything. Now these cars, you crash, everything starts falling off.
They're built that way.
Yeah.
To absorb
Built
the
to
energy.
collapse,
To
yeah.
absorb the energy.
It
yes.
absorbs the energy, and I've watched a lot of wrecks in my day, and been in a few myself, but
We all love the sport, but we don't want to see anyone get hurt.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the whole thing.
exactly.
Here,
And I tell a story at every chance I can. One of my arch rivals / enemies in racing was the late Kenny Hyde. We did not get along. We couldn't pass each other without me getting purple on my car or him getting blue on his. Our wheels you would swear that we swap wheels. When I had that bad wreck in '96, and I was in the hospital, I got home, the first guy that came to my house was Kenny Hyde.
It's a family.
And I'll never forget that. And I tell everybody that story. And he looked at me and he says, we might not get along together on the track, but I'm sure if something happened to me, you'd be at my house.
It's a racing family.
It is.
It is.
And unless you've been there, you don't understand that.
You know how many people say, we were talking about the safety though, but my wife, the people say to my wife, and are you scared your kids race and this and that? And they're safer in those cars than on the street, honestly.
They are, without a
Matter
doubt.
of fact, Alan made us laugh because when he first got his license, the first time he drove, we could see something was wrong. And we said, what's the matter, buddy? He says, I don't feel safe in here. I want my helmet on, my arms device, But you're safer in those. I mean, anything could happen. Listen, it's dangerous. It's racing.
When you're used to being the 5-point or 6-point harness over your shoulders, over around your legs, through your crotch, and then you get in your street car, you're going, 70, 80 miles an hour.
With a lap belt.
And it only covers one shoulder.
No helmet, no Hans device.
No Hans.
No fire suit.
No, nothing. No helmet, no gloves.
But that was the answer. And my wife would say, they're safer in there than on the street,
Yes.
if you really think about it.
Absolutely.
And then you could also walk across the street, get hit by a bus. So, I mean,
Right.
you
Yep.
have to live, right?
Yep.
And it's in the blood, and once it's in the blood,
Once it's there.
that's it.
I say that all the time.
Safety's important, though.
Oh,
That's the
without
most-
a doubt. And I remember when the Legends first made their debut, at least here on Long Island, I looked at these things, I was like, no, there's no way.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
And then I saw Dan Giovanelli go end over end, and the fact that the door opened, he got out. I'm good. And
You know what I thought about that too, because how they were made with 1x2, steel, but it's all relative. Like they're
Right.
all the same, so they're all. It's not like you're putting a figure 8 out there with a legend car.
Exactly.
The chances would be terrible.
Yeah. Oh.
But they're all the same. They're all going about the same speed, and it's all relative. So,
It is.
yeah.
If you're getting
Anything
hit,
can happen, though. Let's face it.
you're getting hit with a 1-inch pipe hitting a 1-inch pipe. It's the same. When you're getting hit with a cow catcher and you have swing set pipe, it ain't happening.
Right. But listen, they've come a long way too. They've made them better. They've made improvements over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And,
That's all credit to INEX and their
Yeah.
engineers and everyone down there.
engineers. That's
Oh, yeah.
who does this.
Yeah.
So we understand. But
Now, Artie, with the state championship behind you, what's next? Without giving away any trade secrets, what's next for Checker One Motorsports?
Well, for us, I know I can't give out a lot of stuff for this season yet. So we're working a lot of things out, a lot of opportunities. We were lucky enough that came up. We're working out details and everything else. And but we want to go modified racing. We want to move up, and we think we're ready. We know as a family we're ready, as a team, and that's the next step. It really is. We're ready for it.
And you're a young guy, and this is the time to make a step like that. At least in my opinion. I mean, you see in 17-year-olds in the Xfinity series. It used to be that if you were a good driver, you got the ride. Now, if Daddy has a lot of money, you're going to get a good ride. And Daddy don't have a lot of money. He's a working man like most of the guys that race here on the Long Island. And, to move on to modifieds, it takes sponsorship, it takes backing, it takes somebody to believe in you. And I don't know what your plan is. I know you have a plan to go modified racing, and I'm sure there's somebody in the wings that, you're kind of working some things out. And, there's nothing worse than saying, Acme Corporation is sponsoring my modified, I'm good to go, and it doesn't happen.
Right.
well, The opposite happened. We got a few phone calls.
Beautiful.
So we'll see. We're working out the details, so I can't really say what, but there's some different type of modified racing, because there's several. There's crates, there's tours, there's ROC,
tour
there's all
type,
kinds of. There's a couple opportunities. We don't know how many, full-time, part-time, another figure eight maybe, you know.
One of the
Obviously,
best paying
the legends,
divisions,
you know,
dollar for dollar.
I believe, and I think we spoke about this the last time, that no matter what you race, as long as you're competitive and have a chance to win, that's all you can ask for.
That's all you can ask for.
And that's our motto. We as long as we can be competitive.
Right.
Because you could have the best driver, you could have the best equipment, you could have the best of everything. You still need luck.
Right.
You know,
Oh, yeah, and a lot
to
of
win.
it.
So, but if you can be competitive day in and day out, every time you're out there, that's the best you can ask for, I think, because you have a chance.
No. Did you just wake up one day and say, Dad, I want to race? How did this all come to be?
Well, Dad obviously got me into it, knowing that he raced all this time, and you know, he did push it on us a little bit. I mean, we used to play soccer when we were really little, and once we got the go-kart, I was like, all right, no more soccer.
Because in soccer, everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah,
in soccer,
right, exactly. And, you know, my funny story is my first actual race that we went to Leica out in the Coliseum. We bought, you know, I was just starting, so we didn't even have racing shoes. They got me like heavy-duty boots that the tech guys let me use because we were little, and my boot actually ended up catching the throttle, and my throttle stuck the first time out.
Wow.
First race out, and I ended up not being able to reach the off switch or pull the spark plug, because I really didn't know where anything was, even though Dad told me
You got to
3 or
realize he's
4
only 7
times.
years old, too.
So I go zipping up and down the back straightaway, past the track. Everyone's
Looping the
freaking out.
thing, coming back,
Looping
just so
it.
he wouldn't hit nothing.
And
I
I
mean,
ended
I
up-
knew he had something right
And
there.
they probably say, what the heck is he
Right,
doing
and
on
I
that?
ended up getting to the officials and just started doing donuts, and somebody eventually was able to jump on and rip the
But
spark
he
plug
had the
out.
knowledge to do that, which I thought was unreal.
And I was pretty scared after that for a while. I don't think we raced for like 6 months when we were supposed to race that year.
Yep.
And you know what? I went back at the end of that season, ran I think just a couple little, just to get me back into it. And I went out the next year as my first rookie year in go-karts, and I ended up winning the first like 2-3 races. And
Nice.
I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, and Alan actually broke a rib when he was little, like his first year.
Wow.
In go-karts, that happens a lot, believe it
Yeah.
or not, but, you know, you wear those rib protectors and stuff.
Yep.
But, I mean, they're little. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, a little hit or a little
And they're
slide,
fragile.
you know,
Yep.
bump or something, and he actually cracked a rib, but he wanted to get right back in it, like you said, and that's the key, you know.
You know what? My daughter had small feet when she was racing. She was only like 15, 16 when she ran a Riverhead. And they didn't have racing shoes in her size. And you basically, you should have them. So I ended up at least getting the socks.
Right.
And I got wrestling shoes. And I thought they were going to break my chops, so I took one of my SFI tags off of one of my own shoes.
They
I
actually,
glued it
that's what
on.
they used, wrestling shoes in the go-karts in the beginning, you know. Yeah.
You know, here I am, a NASCAR official. I'm like bending the rules. And what
Well-
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
You know, you have to do what you have to do. Like you said, they didn't make a size. You know?
They make, what am I gonna do? Have my made special? No, that wasn't
How
gonna
many
happen.
15-year-old females are going to want to drive a race car?
Oh yeah.
Think about that.
And her fire suit was only good for like a half a season because the way girls grow at that age, you know, it was like, oh, man, that wasn't good either.
Well, that's the thing too. You know, the equipment. Like I said, the safety equipment. The first thing we talk about racing for this season is let's get all the safety equipment together. You know.
Yep.
What are we replacing? What's going on? You know. And obviously, the higher you go, the more stringent
Absolutely.
the rules are, and it should be.
Yeah.
It should be.
No.
Because anything could happen.
Yep. We're going to take a break. We come back. We're going to talk briefly, I guess, what went on in Atlanta. We're just blowing away the time here. And we'll finish up with Artie and his dad when we come back.
Hey guys, this is Jibs from Ocean's 8, Alaska, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
Hey, I'm Raul Panther.
And I'm Commander B. Hawkins.
And I'm Rich Weller. We're some of the proto men. If we see you without this bracelet, you get punched in the But if you have this bracelet from Inravio.com, you can win $100.
Put one of these on.
Or else.
What's up, guys? This is Assuming We Survive, and you're watching Inravio TV Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. So, it's a Big 3 series. We're at Atlanta this past weekend. And I know a lot of people in the social media were complaining about the lack of fans in the stands. But it was raining, folks. It was raining. It was cold and it was damp. And those tickets were bought and paid for. Those people stayed at the hotel. So it's not a knock on NASCAR. They did everything they possibly could to get the race in with the delayed start on Sunday. But here's how the Cup Series went at Atlanta this past weekend. Winner, Kevin Harvick. Second was Brad Keselowski. Clint Boyer was third. Denny Hamlin was fourth. Martin Truex Jr. fifth. Joey Logano sixth. Kyle Busch seventh. Kurt Busch eighth. Kyle Larson ninth. And rounding out the top 10 was Chase Elliott. One of the takeaways from the event this weekend was the pit gun malfunctions that all the teams must have now and get them from NASCAR. There were a lot of malfunctions, failures on pit road. Some teams had to go pull off of pit road so they didn't lose a lap and come back in. Some teams lost laps sitting on pit road trying to figure out what to do with the gun. Steve O'Donnell, the vice president in NASCAR in competition, is taking a look at that this week, and it should be fixed by Vegas this upcoming weekend. And also, Bubba Wallace and Denny Hamlin had an altercation verbally after following the race at Daytona. And because of this altercation on the track and after they walked out of the press room, Denny Hamlin has removed Bubba Wallace from Hamlin's recreational golf and basketball leagues. Really? What happens on the track stays on the track. And, you know, we've been doing this for a long time. If you keep those kind of grudges, it's not going to work. And every time you get near each other, it's going to be like, oh, I got to wreck this guy. So
Didn't race a lot.
thumbs down to Denny Hamlin on that one. The Xfinity was also in Atlanta. Kevin Harvick was the winner there, followed by Joey Logano. Christopher Bell third. John Hunter Nemechek was fourth. Elliott Sadler fifth. Justin Allgaier sixth. Austin Cindric was seventh. Kyle Benjamin eighth. Ryan Truex ninth. And Ryan Reed rounded out the top 10 there. Campbell World Truck Series, nice race. Wasn't too bad. Brett Moffitt was the winner there, followed by Noah Gragson. Johnny Sauter third. Ben Rhodes was fourth. Matt Crafton was fifth. Stuart Friesen was sixth. Matt Schneider was seventh. Jesse Little, who was a guest on our show a couple of years back, eighth. Grant Enfinger ninth. And rounding out the top 10 there was Austin Dillon. And a quick update, Mike Titeback, who was injured in Atlantic City in the indoor midget races on January 26th. Mike's wife, Renee, confirmed to Area Auto Racing News the extent of Mike's injuries. He was unconscious after the crash. He was in and out of consciousness on way to the hospital and in the emergency room due to massive bleeding on the brain. He suffered a blockage of the main artery in his neck, which required surgery to remove the clot. He was in a coma for 2 weeks. He's unable to breathe on his own, is on a ventilator. He is definitely paralyzed on the right side. The brain bleeds continue, and there is limited brain activity. So what I'm going to ask you folks out there, and I know I ask this a lot, let's keep Mike Titeback and his family in your prayers. Give his wife and family prayers that they get through this. This is a tough time to just sit there and watch your spouse or a loved one when you know the end is kind of near. People get injured in our sport. We know that when we strap in, that, hey, we might get hurt. Mike wasn't one of those guys who chinched on safety. He had all the best safety equipment. But like my mother said to me when Tom Baldwin passed away, and I felt it was my fault. She said, when your time is up, it's up. Whether he would have been on the expressway driving somewhere, whether he was sleeping on his couch, whether he was out mowing his lawn, when your time is up, your time is up. I just hope that Mike is not suffering. I was there for that wreck, and it was one of the worst midget crashes I've seen in my lifetime. And I've been going to the midget races since the 70s. So my prayers, and on behalf of Inravio and 505 On, that they get the strength that's necessary to get through this period. Tough deal.
And like you said, he was real big on safety. From what I read and know about him, he was real big on safety. And like I said before,
I can remember the late Walt Denzel saying, Jesus Christ, if you got a $10 head, you get a $10 helmet. Get the best.
Yeah, I mean, you go overboard with safety. You don't skimp.
You go to your parts guy, wherever you buy your safety equipment, and I used to say this, and I had a good rapport with our parts guy, Dennis Rees at Overspeed.
Can't do without him.
If he didn't have what I wanted, and the race was tomorrow,
he'd get it.
We're not racing tomorrow. If he couldn't get it. We'll wait till the one I want comes in.
Yeah.
Because the old good enough for now, I don't think that's the way to go.
No, not with safety. Not with safety, no.
And I see with you guys got the best of the best in safety, all up-to-date stuff. It's not like, the SFI ratings, it says it's good for this amount of time. From what I've seen, you don't wait to that date. You're changing it before it comes to that.
We're actually, new stuff's coming in now because we're not taking a chance, It's on the borderline of being legal or not, updated, whatever.
And I tell people, I see you guys hit the wall hard, and then they get the harness burn a little bit. I tell them to throw those belts away because where the latches are burns from the.
Any bad hit, you should replace them. I mean, belts are $100. I mean, give or take.
Right.
It's worth it.
I tell people, I waste $100 going out to dinner.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's just one night.
A funny story with safety. We were at the Nationals a couple years ago, and boy, you got to give INX credit. They don't. Alan had a little L tear in his butt cheek of his suit, and they wouldn't let him race. Now, honestly, was that going to affect anything? But you know what? I'm glad they did.
Right.
And we had to get him a new suit that weekend. So, but it's a testament to they want to make sure the drivers are safe because no one wants to see anybody hurt.
No. But,
we're all a family. I feel bad for their family.
Absolutely
terrible.
I think we're running out of time here. So before we go, Artie, tell us some of the people that make it happen for you. That some of the people you couldn't do this without. Name some of the people.
Again, Mom and Dad, can't do it without them. And John Heeg, Ron Folden, Alan and Chris. They're both. I mean, Alan's my brother, and Chris. Pretty much a brother too now.
Yeah.
And I mean the Fortons, everything they do for me. I can't thank Michael Scott and the Currans enough. Jerry and little Jake are on board with us now. And Steve too is with us. And then of course all my great sponsors, Lombardo, Electric, and then you can't forget Sign Design. They've been with me since I started. Same with TJ Zeros. And it's just, and Jimmy at East End RV always helps us out every year. It's just we have so many people that I can't even name them all, but they all know who they are.
Uncle Scott.
Uncle Scott, of course. We're doing a lot with him this year, too. I just don't have any.
Don't forget this guy.
No, I'm not. I'm just.
Everyone that's.
It's hard to remember everybody. That helps you.
Yeah, everyone that's with us supports us 100%. It's one of the best feelings in the world.
Well, I know you're a busy guy, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come sit and talk racing. And Dad, I know you're hurting.
Yeah.
Then you're struggling. We'll get the crane to get you off the chair. We're done.
It's for him. That's what it's all about. I do it, and we've been friends a long time, and. If I have to suffer for an hour, I suffer for an hour.
Right. Anyway, thank you again. And,
You're welcome.
I wish you the best of luck in 2018 and beyond. And if there's anything that I could do for you guys, don't hesitate to reach out.
Well, maybe we'll come back soon.
There you go.
Give a little more.
Might have an announcement for us,
Yeah, we'll let you know. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules to watch and chat the chat room. And for those of you who kind of catch it during the week, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And wherever your endeavors are going to bring you this week, please be safe, please be careful, give somebody a hug, tell them you love them. God bless you all, and we'll see you all next week. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Inravio.